Third Amendment states no soldier shall in time of peace be quartered in any house without the consent of the owner, nor in time of war, but in a manner to be prescribed by law. During the time of the American Revolutionary War, the American colonists were frequently asked to allow soldiers to temporarily live in their homes. Prior to the Revolutionary War, the British government passed two separate acts called the Quartering Acts. Due to the fact that British soldiers did not have bases set up across the colonies, the soldiers needed somewhere to stay at night to eat and rest. After the Quartering Acts were passed, a soldier could order colonists to stay in barns, uninhabited houses, or in places like stables, bars, and inns. British soldiers could take over the property of American colonists during the Revolutionary War. The American colonists were very irate about this, which is why the Third Amendment was integrated into the Bill of Rights. The Third Amendment was introduced by James Madison. The Third Amendment stated that no soldier could demand a place to stay during wartime, although a soldier of the United States government could ask someone for a place to stay. During wartime, a soldier might be able to occupy a property for a short period of time. However, during peacetime, the lawful property owner's rights were much more important than the military's rights. Because of this, the property owners had the legal right to refuse to quarter a soldier if they wanted to. Americans still quartered soldiers even until the Civil War. Since then, the Third Amendment has only been applied on very few occasions. Although we do not quarter soldiers as much anymore, the Third Amendment is still very important because it looks at the idea of a person's right to privacy. The Third Amendment works to protect the privacy of every American, giving everyone the right to stop soldiers from accessing their private property during peacetime. The Third Amendment is amongst the least cited sections of the U.S. Constitution. The Third Amendment has been cited in passing in other cases, most notably opinions arguing that there is a constitutional right to privacy, such as Supreme Court's decision in Griswold v. Connecticut. In Griswold v. Connecticut, Estelle Griswold, whom was the executive director of the Planned Parenthood League of Connecticut, and Dr. C. Lee Buxton, whom was a physician and a professor at the Yale School of Medicine, were arrested and charged with giving information, instruction, and medical advice to married persons on means of conception. Griswold and Buxton were found guilty as accessories and fined $100 each. They appealed on the theory that the accessory statute as applied violated the 14th Amendment to the United States Constitution. Griswold and Buxton claimed standing based on the professional relationship with the married people they advised. The issue regarding the case was under constitutional law, does the Constitution protect the right of marital privacy against states' restriction on a couple's ability to be counseled in the use of contraceptives? It was found yes. The Connecticut statute conflicts with the exercise of this right and therefore null and void. Though the Constitution does not explicitly protect a general right to privacy, the various guarantees within the Bill of Rights create zones that establish a right to privacy. Together, the First, Third, Fourth, and Ninth Amendment create a new constitutional right, the right to privacy in marital relations. Under the First, Third, Fourth, and Ninth Amendments, the right to family was created and thus protects the right of marital privacy. The next case pertaining to the Third Amendment, Youngstown Sheet and Tube Company versus Sawyer. In 1951, a labor dispute arose between the United States steel companies and their employees. In 1952, the employees' union gave notice of a nationwide strike. Thereupon, feeling that such a work stoppage would jeopardize our national defense, President Truman issued an order directing the Secretary of Commerce to take possession of the nation's steel mills. After obeying the orders, under protest, the steel companies brought suit in district court. The district court issued a temporary restraining order against the government, which the Court of Appeals stayed. The issue that arose out of this case was if President Truman had the authority to order and seize the steel mills. The Supreme Court found that no, the President did not have the authority to take over the power of the mills. This case calls into question the extent of the sources of the emergency power of the President, if any, under the Constitution. In many parts of the world, a military commander can confiscate private housing to shelter his troops. This is not the case in the United States. For the Third Amendment says even in wartime, his seizure of needed military housing must be authorized by Congress. The Third Amendment is important because when the Third Amendment, which addresses the right to not house and feed soldiers in your home was first introduced, it was done so in direct response to the fact that this is what the British were doing. It was ultimately one of the causes of the Revolutionary War. Today, while outdated, it remains in place to remind the government to respect private property. The Third Amendment to the United States Constitution is so important because it prevents the government from using your home to house military personnel without your consent. It helps to protect your privacy.
Oh, I'm a good old rebel, now that's just what I am. And for this Yankee nation, I do not give a damn. I'm glad I fought again, I only wish we'd won. I ain't asked any pardon for anything I've done. I hates the Yankee nation and everything they do. I hates the Declaration.